What up, everybody? When sitting in a jail cell, a lot of times we start to reflect on our choices that we made to get us there. And when doing that, we start counting back our steps to see where it was when things started to go wrong and where did I mess up at. And in the final episode of Power Book 2 Ghost Season 4, Don Carter was arrested and taken into custody by his day one, Nico Halster, for killing his fellow cop Kamal Tate and violating Carter's own code. Now Carter's going to be sitting in a jail cell, most likely in isolation because he's a cop, and it would be very dangerous for him to be in open population. So he's likely now counting back his steps and reflecting on his choices that got him to where he is. So possibly now Carter regrets getting mixed up with Tariq St. Patrick to begin with. At the end of episode 1 of season 4, Power Book 2 Ghosts, we got our first introduction to Don Carter. We know now that Carter went to St. Michael's Cathedral every Saturday at 4 to do confessional and light a candle for his dead wife Denise. But one day as Carter was walking out the cathedral, he was met by Paz Valdes, who was waiting for him to leave in the foyer. This also lets us know that Paz was familiar with Carter being at St. Michael's every Saturday at 4 o'clock. Because she wasn't there to do confessional herself or even to light a candle for any of her dead family members, she was there specifically waiting on Detective Don Carter, of course thinking that Carter was a legit and by-the-book cop. Leading to the question, how well did Paz really know Detective Don Carter? It kind of reminds me of when Paz was trying to get Tommy to kill James for her because she thought James killed Angela. And Tommy ended up asking Paz, how well did you really know your sister? Because as we later found out, Carter was as dirty as they come and even a cop killer himself. But Paz was waiting for Carter because her son Junior had recently been killed earlier in that same episode. She told Carter that the cops were buying a story about a school shooter, but she knew that they were wrong. He was investigating Tariq St. Patrick and other dealers. Then she said, they killed him. I know it. Please help me. Then Carter hugged Paz and told her he was going to nail whoever it was who took her son. He even promised her. A couple things about this scene is that Paz didn't have to explain or even felt like she needed to explain who Tariq St. Patrick was to Carter. So either Paz and Carter had discussed the St. Patrick family before, or Don Carter was somebody Paz knew from the old neighborhood who knew all about James St. Patrick, so he knew who Tariq was when he heard the name St. Patrick. Earlier in the episode, when Junior was telling Paz about taking down Tariq St. Patrick, she didn't even sound like she ever heard of Tariq. She just knew who he was by the last name and said, St. Patrick, are you serious? You know what that family did to your aunt. So in the same way, there's a chance that Carter never heard of Tariq personally until Paz mentioned his name. But at the same time, there was no need for an explanation because of his last name. The other thing about what Paz told Carter is that he was investigating Tariq St. Patrick and other dealers. And we know that when Carter heard that there was dealers that Agent Young was investigating, he was interested so he could find more dealers to put under his thumb and try to ultimately find out who their connect was. The next episode, Carter went to talk to Tariq face to face at Stansfield as Tariq was trying to follow Noma's orders and stay out of the game and forced to work 3 jobs at Stansfield to cover his financial aid. Soon as Carter walked into the candy shop and saw Tariq, he said his full name, Tariq St. Patrick. Then they went into the hallway to talk, and Carter said, Tariq St. Patrick, son of James St. Patrick, one of New York City's biggest pieces of shit. No code, no loyalty, really just a piece of shit. And you smell just like him. So the question is, was Carter talking about Tariq literally smelling like James, or was he using this as a metaphor to say that he was a criminal just like his father? Keep in mind in season 3, right before Tariq killed Bash, Bash was telling Tariq he was a criminal just like his father. And no matter how much he tries to hide it, they can smell it on him. Or did Carter grow up close enough to Ghost to literally know what he smelled like? Keeping in mind that Ghost grew up in the same neighborhood as Paz Valdes and dated her sister Angela when they were kids. And even back when Ghost was young, he had a reputation in the streets as a thug. Even 18 years later, when Angela went to see her father, who had dementia, and she mentioned the name Jamie St. Patrick, he still remembered him and snapped and called him bad news. Paz even knew about James' reputation and even knew Tommy and knew that Tommy was a killer, telling him that people in the neighborhood talked. So there's a chance that Carter knew about Ghost's reputation for back in the day, and that's why he could tell Tariq that he smelled just like him. Because Carter knew Ghost when he was around Tariq's age, and Tariq reminded him of a young version of Ghost. The other big question is, if Carter knew that Ghost was a drug dealer and all that, why didn't he ever try to take him down? Like I started out the video talking about, Carter regretting the day he decided to go after Tariq and the Tejadas. If he grew up around Ghost, he possibly knew about how dangerous he was also and decided he wasn't worth going after. I've also talked about in other videos the possibility of Carter being Ghost's mystery brother that was mentioned by Courtney Kemp. But if this is the case, the two were likely separated at a young age because Carter told Kamal Tate he was raised by his mother. He told Kamal a story about his mother and his friend named Rob, and it was said on Power that Ghost grew up without a mom. And like I said in that video, the possibility that the two were separated with their parents with their separate ways as kids, and Ghost was raised by his father and Carter by his mother. Something else I found interesting from the scene when Carter got arrested is that he looked at Tariq and said, "Do you know who I am?" And before Tariq could say anything, or Carter could say anything else, Nico Holster cut in and told Carter he was his brother. I thought that might have been a clue indicating that Carter was Ghost's brother. Something else to keep in mind is why Carter was always so interested in saying Tariq's full name, Tariq St. Patrick, like he got a kick out of calling him by his full name. I think a lot of questions regarding the backstory of certain characters will be revealed in Power Origins. So there could definitely be more to Carter's story that we see played out in Origins. But is there more to Carter's story on the current timeline also? Could Carter be a loose end from behind bars? I know there's a chance someone could take Carter out when he's inside, but there's also a chance that he gets into protective custody and can't nobody get to him. Keep in mind how quick Ghost and Tommy had to get to Mike Sandoval in Power before he started snitching on everybody. So Carter could be locked up and prepared to start snitching on everybody also. Because when he was getting locked up, he looked at Tariq and told him, "This ain't over." Because of that, it makes me think that we haven't seen the last of Detective Carter. In the final episode of Book 2, Blanca Rodriguez and Jenny Sullivan also got back into the game, so they could also be a problem in a future spinoff, possibly getting information from Carter as their rat. Not to mention what's next for Paz Valdes, because Carter told her that he was going to take down Tariq, but ended up being the one getting taken down himself. And we know that Paz hasn't let go of Tariq killing her son or her grudge against the St. Patrick family. So Paz could be a problem in the next spinoff also. And there you have it. Leave your thoughts, theories, and predictions in the comments.